Cool. Yeah, we're still push with Wade Trim. Rob is like he's a huge believer in Airworks. He's presenting with us at all these shows, so we'll get in there. But he just moved over there, what, a month ago. So he's being a little delicate. I bet if you came in there, yeah, big time. I like it. Well, hey, you're the innovation guy. That's what it's start. Yeah, especially when you start pulling in like high res imagery in there. Every time you shift it, it has to repan, reload. It's a nightmare. All right, cool. Well, let me show you a couple different things. So why people use this, why our clients use this for pretty much these first two reasons, and what you get with it as a result is the second two. So we're fast, right? Depending on the use case, especially if it's like an urban, a lot of features to be extracted, different things like that. Like speed is one of our benefits. And so we're hopefully we can cut project times up to 50%. I'll go through a couple different examples, but do any work with Pape Dawson engineers? They're out of Texas. They're a large civil engineering firm. We do some high resolution drone stuff with some of their like more urban projects. We were spinning those projects around 30% turnaround times for 25% of the in-house cost. And so just like speed is one of our value drivers. The other thing is scalability in this world with all this data collection coming in, especially on the telecom side, or as you guys mentioned, you're turning down work because you don't have the manpower. With our solution, we're allowing people to be more productive without needing to hire, without needing to turn down work, running projects simultaneously. It's just really a productivity tool for your in-house teams to increase their own capacity. And then okay, all right, so you're generally tied in. The problem that we're trying to solve seems like you're in point on it, but there's just so much data now that it's coming in. Every different industry is using it. Everybody wants to gain insights from geospatial data, which is good for us and good for the Wade Trims of the world, but it's leading to this gigantic bottleneck of information, which is leading to people turning down work, not using the technology as much as they should, and just in general, longer turnaround times, higher costs. It's not good. So what we try and do for Airworks is get implemented into their internal workflows, inject some automation into that, automate the mundane portion of it, and really start to increase capacity, free up internal resources, and reduce turnaround times on a lot of the projects. So this is like a pretty standard, like urban, sort of more brownfield type project, maybe different from what you're talking about, but you did just mention parking lot, so maybe the same. But a typical CAD technician or GIS technician that has to digitize by hand, a project like this is going to consume about 40 hours of their workload total. With Airworks integrated and us being able to automate 60 to 90% of the features they're extracting off their plate, we can really reduce like their whole like manual effort on a project, down to about a half hour, an hour, just with some cleanup. And so it can shift the whole way these organizations are doing work on the office side, production side, and really increase their capacity. Here's our team. We did some research already, so I won't dive in too much on that, but pretty strong team of technical and just industry experience processing a lot of projects. This is just on our civil side, not even touching the work we're doing in telecom or government. We're doing 50 to 100 projects a week all across the country. So we know what we're doing. We've been working with this stuff. We're working with a lot of the top civil engineering firms. We like to work with firms like the Wade Trims of the world who are already using this type of data. They know when to use it. They know when not to use it. They have structures built out, but they're at this point where it's like, okay, we're just collecting too much data now, and we can't scale at the same pace with our office staff, and we also might not want to go overseas to India because the quality and just managerial efforts on that front. So you probably recognize Kimley Horns up here. A lot of work with some of the top. Our initial champion was out of the West Coast. We were working with Bobby Valentine. He was on their kind of innovation technologies, really building out their drone program. And we were doing a lot of the project work out west on transportation stuff. Bobby's no longer there. And so we're working with a gentleman named Chris Rose. And then we've got relationships with David Garrigus, who's out of Raleigh, and some of the work that they're doing, just more from a enterprise-wide type of relationship. The way that we work is we digitize a core number of features using our AI, and then we also offer more of like a services base to do additional features outside of that, depending on your use case. buildings, manholes, drains, edge of pavement, paint line stripings, curb, sidewalk, water, vegetation are all part of our core concrete pads as well. And then we can also offer some brake line solutions more on the design side. If you're working with Nearmap, then we're just interested in 2D planometrics, but you can also get some more design level brake line solutions. This is less automated. The data site ones are fully automated, but that's a basic top and toe slope, more in like these gigantic open fields. When you start getting into more urban environments for design, we'll do a much more robust sort of brake line, which is more manual, but service that we offer. And then before I jump into some projects that we're actually working on, like where does Airworks fit in? I think the early stages of a project with site planning, conceptual design, feasibility, site logistics from like a near map or a manned aircraft, more mapping grade stuff. We definitely do a ton of this work. Permitting is the other big one that we're doing for the telecom and some of the power utilities sectors, just helping with generate basic base maps, not survey grade, helping speed along that process. And then we also do a lot of detailed design work. So we're talking from LiDAR for surveyors, you're down to that, tenth of a foot accuracy type deliverable. Then we do a lot of like Alta surveys and stuff, handovers for post as-builts for post-construction. We don't do a lot like in construction. We're not doing like volumetrics and stockpile calculations. There's plenty like Propeller can do that perfectly fine. That's not really our bread and butter. And we're not doing a lot of change detection type progress monitoring. That's really not our sweet spot. We're more on like the planning and then the design side, pre and post construction stuff. All right, so I'm just going to run through a couple different types of projects and I'll talk a little bit about like the value that was derived from them. So this is a typical type of project we do for surveyors. This was going to get turned into a subdivision. They're just looking for a grading topographic map. They flew it with a drone with a LiDAR. There's software out there that can process rough and dirty topos pretty well and pretty quick, like all the LiDAR sensors out there, as I'm sure you know. So we don't particularly compete a ton in this space on like speed or, cost, but we can, because we have extra layers of QC, like our classified point clouds are really, really accurate. And so with this particular client, they just had so much work coming in. It wasn't a matter of if they could do it faster, cheaper in-house. It was they didn't want to turn down work, and so they throw some stuff to us. So we help increase like their capacity on some of these jobs. And we do some of this work too, like more just open field, green field type contours, not a lot of infrastructure on it. But it's probably not our bread and butter. This type of project is probably more in our wheelhouse. It's something we know we can deliver value on. Ton of Alta surveys, urban environments, a lot of features, a lot of things to be extracted. This was from a drone, but the same concept goes from a near map or some other lower res image. With this, we've done some industrial projects on, but not, we don't work directly with any like automotive companies. There are some like Kimley Horn, and we were talking with Jacobs about some stuff with like HDR mapping for some of their self-driving car stuff, but with this particular project and many similar, these turnaround times and like value adds are pretty standard. So relative to their in-house team, we eliminated 65% of the drafting time from their plate, freed up those resources to go work on higher value tasks, and we did it for 25% of their in-house cost. So those are some good benefits. We do a lot of wastewater, whether it's treatment plants like this or it's long right-of-way corridor type water line replacement projects. Did it 78% cost savings to them, freed up this technician 16 hours to work on other stuff. It's a great question. Our accuracy in the horizontal is where we guarantee will be no more than 2 pixels off. And so like geospatially accurate that is depends on how big the pixels are that we get. So we're like a very much data in, data out, garbage in, garbage out, but our guarantee is 2 pixel. Yep. This is a use case we're doing. I don't know. Do you guys do anything in like the telecom, fiber, broadband world? Okay. That works. We do a lot of that. We're doing a lot of Amazon facilities and things like that as well, which is good. So maybe this isn't in your wheelhouse, probably not, but just so you get a sense of the scale that we can operate at. the fiber telecom broadband world is insane with the amount of money flowing from the government to build in rural fiber. And so we're working with a company, a couple different companies now. This project was 800 miles. We were working on about three of them at the same time for them. They drive this with a mobile LiDAR unit. We rasterize it into an ortho mosaic, run it through our system, and then we're also helping with some pole line sag, mid-span, pole calculation stuff. So this really hints into the scalability of it. They were like, got all this money to do all this work, couldn't really deliver on it. We're doing one project at a time, huge backlog. We're like, listen, send us all the data at the same time, like, well, we're going to run it through a system. And we've really helped revolutionize it because they're doing a ton of work. Um, this is a near map use case, working with Maztec Power Utility. They're burying a bunch of electric lines in Florida for some hurricane sort of climate change prep type stuff. Their workflow before for generating their permits was they had guys in the field, and then they had a whole office production staff that was trying to pull the existing GIS from like an Esri system or working with municipalities to get whatever they had. And then they would